Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to Jets Media. This is Richie, and in this video, we're going to be talking about Garrett Wilson, and I'm going to give you guys my rookie player profile on the 10th overall pick for the New York Jets, that being wide receiver out of Ohio State, Garrett Wilson. Now, this is a player I am super excited to break down. For those guys that are new to the channel and new to the series here on Jets Media, I'll be breaking down each individual draft pick from the 2022 draft class from Joe Douglas. We already broke down Sauce Gardner, so if you guys missed that episode, make sure you guys check that video out. And today we'll be talking about Garrett Wilson, and then the next video will be Jermaine Johnson, Breece Hall, Jeremy Ruckert, and then the rest of the draft class, of course. And we're going to be breaking down in this video Garrett Wilson's strengths, his weaknesses, his stats at Ohio State, what we can expect from him as a rookie and beyond, his combine stuff, some expectations we have for him this season, and of course some player comparisons that I got for Garrett Wilson. I'm super excited to break down him because he's a player that I think Jets fans are already in love with, but they're going to fall in love with him even more when he gets on the field this season as a rookie. And if you guys can tell, yes, I do have a brand new hat. This is the 2022 draft class hat. After the Jets aced the 2022 draft, I had to get a new hat. I had to get the same hat that all those players, including Garrett Wilson, as you can see right here, is wearing this exact hat. So it felt only right to get that. But yeah, I digress. Before we hop into Garrett Wilson, I just want to mention, if you guys are new to Jets Media, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I got a lot of Jets content coming your way all throughout the rest of the off season, and of course carrying into the season. And if you guys want to check me out over on Instagram and Twitter, that is at nyjets_media. And if you enjoy the video, please do not forget to thumbs it up. With that being said, let's dive right into the video. And a quick little update. I did tweet this out and I posted on my community tab. Look out for an announcement here on Jets Media, something to do with this upcoming season that I'm really excited to basically get a little more interactive with you guys, and that being my subscribers. So keep a lookout in the next couple of weeks for a big announcement that I'm trying to figure out a way. And when all the details start getting finalized, I'm definitely going to keep you guys in the loop of what's going on, and I'm really excited about that. So now let's get right into Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is a player that I was really hoping is one of those wide receivers that we got at number 10. If you guys followed my channel all this throughout the draft process, you knew that at number 10 I wanted a receiver, and the two guys that I wanted was Garrett Wilson and Jameson Williams, and we got our guy in Garrett Wilson, who I believe is the best wide receiver in this draft class. He's a guy that can pretty much do everything, and now we have two potential number one receivers on this roster with Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, and we have a pretty darn good veteran receiver who plays his best football when he's not looked at as a number one receiver in Corey Davis. And then we have also another guy named Braxton Berrios that we re-signed, who is going to be a really big piece for this offense this year, and then Denzel Mims entering year number 3. So all of a sudden, this wide receiver room is deep, it's talented, and Garrett Wilson is going to be the star of the show, in my opinion. Let's dive right into the strengths of Garrett Wilson without further ado. So the first strength I want to talk about is his speed. He ran a 4.38 blazing fast 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine. Absolutely lit it up. This is a player that can just take the top off the defense, a guy that can just, beat you with speed. And if you're a wide receiver and you have that 4.3 speed, you're just going to succeed in the NFL if everything else goes your way, in terms of your route running, in terms of your timing with the quarterback, in terms of your feet and your mentality. So it's a really good sign that he has that speed, and you can tell there's a common thread between all the draft picks from Joe Douglas at the playmaker position, especially at wide receiver. It's speed. You see Denzel Mims' 40-yard dash was pretty darn good. Elijah Moore's 40-yard dash. All these guys that Joe Douglas is trying to bring in at the wide receiver room is fast, and they're trying to build this team, build this offense through speed. So that's a great thing to start off with. And then the next strength I have is he's a yak machine. When the ball is in Garrett Wilson's hands, he can take the ball to the distance if he really wanted to. He's one of those players that you can feel comfortable just giving a little swing, screen pass, and he can take it 20, 25, even to the house if all the blocking goes his way. He can make people miss in the open field with ease. He has a basketball background, so his footwork is just different. He has that athletic ability to just, plant his foot in the ground and go the other way and juke someone out of his shoes. He also has pretty good stiff arming ability, as you can tell from this highlight right here. So Garrett Wilson is a player that can do a lot of things when the ball in his hands, and I cannot wait to see what Mike LaFleur does with Garrett Wilson in his rookie season, scheming him open and making sure that the ball's in his hands with space. The next strength I have is his catch radius. His catch radius is pretty damn ridiculous. Now, this is a really good thing to have for a wide receiver, especially with a young quarterback in Zach Wilson. Having a catch radius the way that Garrett Wilson does is it can bail out Zach Wilson on a bunch of bad throws. Not that I'm expecting Zach Wilson to throw a bunch of inaccurate balls, but say Garrett Wilson is crossing route over the middle and Zach Wilson throws it, it's a little behind him, but Garrett Wilson is so good to the point where he can reach back from behind him and bring it in and still be in stride. He's one of those guys that you could throw the ball pretty much in his direction and he's going to bring it down, whether it's to his left, to his right, over his head, down low. He can go and get the ball wherever the ball's thrown to him, which is a great factor that I love about Garrett Wilson's game. If you look at his tape at Ohio State, there's not a lot of perfect balls from Justin Fields and Stroud that went his way, and he really bailed them out with spectacular catches. So he's a spectacular catch waiting to happen, and his catch radius is a big time plus. Another strength I have is 50-50 balls and jump balls. You know, this is where his basketball background comes. You can tell that he comes from basketball because of the way he approaches those 50-50 jump balls, because when you're a basketball player, you're pursuing rebounds. That's like kind of, you know, what basketball is all about, is getting the ball and acting on instinct, as well as when you're a wide receiver and the ball's in the air. It's all about timing. It's all about athleticism. It's all about your vertical. Can you go jump up there and high point the football and bring it down in when there's 2 or 3 guys in your face? You know, there could be double teams. It could be one-on-one. And Garrett Wilson showed time and time again, even though he's not the biggest receiver, even though he's only 6 foot tall, he plays big and he can go up there and grab the ball, even though that he's not that typical 6'3", 6'4", not number one receiver, prototypical outside guy. He can still go up there and snag it out of the air if you do throw up a jump ball for him. Another strength is his hands. He just simply has phenomenal hands. You throw it to him, whether it's an over-the-shoulder grab in the back of the end zone, whether it's, you know, like we mentioned, the catch radius. He has a really good hands, and that's something you want in a receiver if you're investing a 10th overall pick on. So I thought I had to bring that up, and even though it's an obvious one. His versatility is the next strength I want to break down. He can play on the outside. He can play in the slot. He can get the ball on sweeps. He can line up at halfback, wingback if he really wanted to. I mean, he can do so much things with the ball in his hands. So I'm super excited to see what Mike LaFleur does in his creativity with the versatility that Garrett Wilson possesses for the New York Jets in his rookie season. I'm expecting him to be heavily involved in this offense right out of the gate because he's that talented to pretty much do everything all across the field. He's also a deep threat. Speed is pretty much the reason why he is a deep threat. He can do a nice double move as well to create separation down the field, and he also has really good ball tracking ability when the ball is thrown his way, when he's, you know, 50 or 60 yards down the field and say Zach Wilson throws a bomb. He has really good ability to track the ball down the field, and that goes with being a deep threat because you have to be able to catch the ball if the ball's thrown your way. It's not about just getting open down the field. You got to be able to catch the ball, and Garrett Wilson does that as well. Another strength of his is probably his best strength is his route running. I mean, he's known as one of the most pure athletic route runners coming out of the draft this year. You know, he just has that ability to just make somebody feel like, make the corner or whatever the defensive back that's guarding him feel like he's going one way, and then he's anticipating the corner to bite on that route, and then he just plants his foot in the ground and boom. It's all about pursuit of angles. It's all about knowing where the cornerback's tendencies, studying film and understanding route running, and I feel like Garrett Wilson has that all in him, and I feel like he's only going to get better when he gets NFL coaching and he gets the development that the New York Jets are going to be implementing here under Mike LaFleur. His route running is something that he's going to create separation with ease for Garrett Wilson. Not all the time, right? He's going to be a rookie. He's going to have some plays where he doesn't get open, but route running is definitely a big plus. And then the final strength I have of his is athleticism. He's just a pure athlete. He's a basketball first guy, transitions to football. He's a guy that just can, I feel like he can pick up any ball and play great or whatever sport it is. He just simply is an athletic player that can do a lot of things on the field, which is a big time plus because you want an athletic wide receiver helping out your young quarterback, especially grooming for the future. That's exactly what Garrett Wilson possesses. Now let's get into some of his weaknesses. The first weakness I want to talk about is sometimes he overcomplicates his routes, right? So what I mean by this is his route running is a strength, but there are some times where he feels like he tries to do a little too much with his routes where you don't really have to go crazy with it, right? The best route runners in the league are the ones that simplify it to the point where they don't rely on, you know, crazy shutter steps and crazy trying to get your corner off balance. It's just really scientifically just beautiful footwork. And not saying that he does this all the time, but sometimes there are things on tape that I've noticed where Garrett Wilson tries to overcomplicate his routes, and he just has to really stick to his basics, not overcomplicate things in his mind, and just stick to the athletic ability that he has within his route running. And I'm sure this will not be a problem at the next level. Another weakness I have is he is an average win rate in battle for positioning. So what this basically means is, when he's out there and it is a jump ball opportunity and, he's trying to track a ball, right? I did say one of his strengths is going up there and being a 50-50 ball, but it's not perfect. That's one of the things that he flashed. But sometimes on the other side of the coin, there are some times where he gets boxed out by the corners. He gets boxed out by the safety, and he just simply cannot go up there and get the ball because his body's not big enough and he doesn't really have good positioning, right? So when the ball is thrown in the air, it's up to the wide receiver. To box out the player, which comes from basketball as well, and be able to be in good position to go up there and reel the ball down. And that goes into his next weakness that I have is his size, right? He's 6 feet tall, 183 pounds. That's not a receiver that is, outwardly huge or athletically, jacked, or a 6'3+ guy. Like, he is undersized for a number one receiver, but I don't think it's a big time weakness because he plays big. And Robert Saleh talked about this, that, the Jets do have a lot of small receivers. They have Elijah Moore, who is below 6 foot tall. They have Braxton Berrios, who's a compact, like 5'10", and then Garrett Wilson, who's just 6 foot, and then Corey Davis and Denzel are their two big guys. But Robert Saleh said it best, that there's small guys that play big, and Garrett Wilson is exactly that. Just because he's 6 feet tall and 183 pounds does not mean that he can play, pretty much do everything you want from a receiver. Another thing that I noticed of a weakness is his release, especially during press. There are some times where he gets bumped at the line of scrimmage right when it's press coverage and the cornerback gets a little leverage on him in the first 5 yards of that route, and then he completely gets out of sorts and does not run that route properly. So that's something he definitely needs to work on at the next level, especially if he starts getting hot and then we're versing a really good defense and they match up their best corner against him and they're just playing press coverage on him. That he has to, build muscle and be able to, use his hands to avoid getting, blocked right at the line of scrimmage and being checked when you're in press coverage. And the last thing I have is sometimes he's not the best at vertical routes in terms of, making sure that you can get that double move down the field and you can, take the top off the defense, right? So I said one of his strengths is being a deep threat, and that's by him being able to catch those balls and being able to track the balls late. But there were some times at Ohio State where he wasn't the best at, running those vertical routes, running those, taking the top off the defense by, making the cornerbacks bite on the double move. So this is something I'm expecting him to work on at the next level, and I'm definitely expecting him to develop becoming a dominant vertical route runner in the future. And now let's get into some of the stats, because his stats at Ohio State is awesome. Because if we start off with his freshman numbers, he played 13 games, had 30 catches, 432 yards, and 5 touchdowns, averaging 14.4 yards per catch. And then a sophomore season, he plays 5 less games, only 8 games, and he catches 43 passes, 723 yards, and had 6 touchdowns, averaging 16.8 yards per grab. And then you get into his junior year, which was last season. He plays in 11 games that had 70 catches, 1,058 passing receiving yards, and 12 touchdowns, averaging 15.1 yards per attempt. So obviously he got better and better and better. The ball started going to his way a little more, and he developed at Ohio State beautifully. He had that breakout in his junior season. I remember him as a freshman, a true freshman. I think it was against Clemson, I believe. He went up there and made a sensational catch at the sideline that kind of put Garrett Wilson on the map. And ever since then, he was like one of those players that a lot of people were looking at in college football. Like, he's going to be drafted and he's going to be really good in the NFL. And he eventually developed and became one of the stars at Ohio State. Now let's get into his combine numbers. His combine numbers is crazy because and we already mentioned this, he weighed in at 6 foot tall, 183 pounds, 32-inch arms, and 7.8 inch hands. He ran a 4.38 40-yard dash, 36 vertical jump, 123 broad jump, and 4.36 20-yard shuttle. So we already talked about his athleticism, but this is just it on paper to show you guys what he did at the combine. Absolutely sensational stuff. And then for a player comparison that I have, it's really hard to figure out a specific player that Garrett Wilson reminds me of. And I really want to hear your guys' thoughts about some player comparisons, because everybody has their own opinions. And when I compare a certain prospect to this player, does not mean I'm expecting him to be that exact guy. It's just kind of an idea of the player that he reminds me of, right? So my player comparison for Garrett Wilson is Odell Beckham Jr. Every time I watch Garrett Wilson on the field, he reminds me of OBJ in the way of his catch radius and his yak ability and his flashiness when he has the ball in his hands, right? OBJ in his prime on the Giants, you saw what he did when the ball was in his hands. He was electric. He can do so much with it. OBJ was also not the biggest receiver. I'm pretty sure he's around the same height and weight. So I'm not expecting Garrett Wilson to be OBJ, especially young OBJ with his prime on the Giants. And I just feel like their games kind of remind me of each other in a way. But again, there's no perfect comparisons. You guys are probably like, some of you guys are like, what, Richie? OBJ? That is not makes any sense in my head, and that's totally okay. Let me know who Garrett Wilson reminds you of. And then the last thing I want to talk about is some of my expectations for Garrett Wilson in his rookie season and beyond. So the first thing I want to talk about is be an immediate impact as a rookie. I think Garrett Wilson has what it takes. If you're being, selected 10th overall in the draft, as a wide receiver, you're expected to put up numbers immediately, right? This isn't one of those things where you're a quarterback and you have to, work your way through it. I feel like wide receivers in this league, if you're drafted in the first round especially, you're expected to put up numbers immediately. Now, I'm not expecting him to light up the league like Jamar Chase or have like a Justin Jefferson style season, but there's no doubt that he needs to at least have 800 plus minimum receiving yards, and obviously that's him staying healthy, and like 5 or 6 touchdowns. I feel like that is a reasonable expectation for a guy that got drafted 10th overall, and that's what my expectations for him in his rookie season is, to be looked at as one of the top wide receivers in this draft class for sure, being like if not the best receiver in this draft class is what I'm expecting from him in year number 1. And that's the next expectation I have, is be a top rookie wide receiver in the NFL. Be a guy that, everyone is saying that the Jets got the best receiver in the draft. So let's see at the end of the year, all that talk that we're saying right now, not even us, but everybody in the NFL media is saying that the Jets got the best rookie wide receiver in the draft. So hopefully by the end of the season, I'm expecting that to be a fact, that he put up the best numbers and had the most successful season. And then a stat prediction that I have, that what I expect, I kind of already broke it down, but 800 plus yards and 5 plus touchdowns is the baseline I want to see from Garrett Wilson. If he does anything less than this and he plays, then I feel like that would be a disappointment in my opinion, especially for a guy that you're investing a 10th overall pick in. But at the end of the day, we also have to realize that he's not going to be perfect as a rookie. He's going to have some growing pains. He's going to have to learn. He's going to have offensive pass interference here. He's going to run the wrong route. He's going to have a crucial drop. That happens as you're a rookie. Every single rookie goes through it. It's just a matter of how he can deal with the adversity and learn from his mistakes, because that is called development. So that's my thoughts of Garrett Wilson. I'm super excited to keep launching these videos of breaking down all the rookies for the 2022 draft class. Let me know your thoughts down below of the video and your thoughts of Garrett Wilson. I love to hear what you guys have to say, and I hope you guys enjoy my in-depth breakdown of the rookie wide receiver that we got in Garrett Wilson. Let me know your thoughts down below. Please like the video if you guys are not already, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Let's go Jets. Peace.